Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it's taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, insane. Basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh, as we are live on SportsGrid for the next 90 minutes with plenty of juice on this Major League Baseball board, and we inch closer to the beginning of the Stanley Cup Final with a rematch between Edmonton and Florida, then the NBA Finals on Thursday between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We did get big NBA news today with Tom Thibodeau fired by the New York Knicks as they look to move in a different direction. What does that mean for the roster? Who are the front runners for this job? We'll talk about it throughout our show tonight, but we want to set you up for this baseball slate here as you are likely in the mix on a Tuesday, on a Tank Tuesday. And we're going to go to our main event, which I still think is Paul Skeens getting the baseball. He gets it tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Houston Astros and is booked as a better than minus 160 favorite now, despite this team being 16 games under 500 and an Astros group that's playing better baseball, currently 32-27. The power of Paul Skeens is legit. You look on a slate like this, every slate, you'll find Ohtani and Judge with their own tab. Skeens, similar situation. I'm fascinated to see if Paul Skeens can avoid what would be, by his standards, a letdown spot. He's coming off of a game where he went 6 2/3 innings, did not allow a run. He actually recorded his first win and only win in the month of May. First time in a long time that Skeens was in the win column. They've won 2 consecutive Paul Skeens starts. Probably a reason why this number looks the way that it does. But for Skeens this season, he's had 2 other starts where he gave up, or where he did not give up a run. And the follow-up games, he had 5 earned and 3 earned. Again, for Skeens, if he gives up 3 today, that would be a letdown. He'd be well over his number, which is 1.5 earned runs against this Astros lineup. I think Paul Skeens, the National League Cy Young favorite, is going to step up and deliver. I think that right now Skeens is hearing the noise around this Pirates team that's already fired their manager. And there's only so much he can do going every 5 days. But every 5 days, he's going to step up and look like one of baseball's very, very best. And I think that means his strikeout prop is in range. But I'm not going to leave Lance McCullers out of this dance. Lance McCullers had an outing against the Reds, which was one to forget. Recorded 1 out, 7 earned runs. It's why his ERA is almost a 6. But in the 18 innings of work beyond that game against Cincinnati, things have been good for Lance McCullers. Typically a guy the Astros can rely on. In his last 2 starts, he struck out 20 combined batters, 12 Ks against the A's lineup in his last outing. So my best bet here on this slate is Paul Skeens and Lance McCullers to combine for 13 or more strikeouts at -105. This number has moved from plus to minus throughout the day. I think that it is one that if you'd like to try and ladder up, you can certainly feel free to climb. But 13 is that barrier of entry for me at -105. My best bet, our crew's best bet. We're going to get Chris Kofsky's Kyle Schwarber for 2+ hit run RBI. That checks in at -120. The Detroit Tigers on the run line, +105 from AJ. White Sox yesterday, +2.5. Could have given me 12.5. I think that's what I maybe would have needed to cover. It was an ugly one yesterday. But then you get from Yarnell a look into what I think has an argument in the main event slot, because that's the Jack Caglione debut. We've seen reports that he is one of the 3 most bet-on players to hit a home run today. You're going to get a RBI at +190 from Yarnell. And when you talk about Tank Tuesday here on Game Time Decisions, he's going to go to Caglione at +630. And I'll tell you what, I know I'm dipping my toe into that water. I know AJ's dipping his toe into that water. Leave it at Casino Chris to, try and fend off what is going to be a really anticipated debut. He is, and that +630 number has probably dropped in some places. There's also, odds boosts, of course, out there, though, with it being a Tuesday. So you can get yourself 8-9 to 1 on Cags to homer today. Last Tuesday, a portion of my home run action was attacking 2 guys, or the 2 best options in the same lineup. I was hoping I could have done that today with the Cubs and with PCA and Kyle Tucker. We don't have Kyle Tucker. So I kind of like the strategy, though. So, how about 2 guys making the move? Ronnie Mauricio's been hot for the New York Mets. He gets the start, batting 7th against Clayton Kershaw, the switch-hitting youngster, +680. Let's get it on the card with a boost. It's over 10 to 1. That excites me. It's a Kyle Schwarber Tuesday for Chris. That's +245. AJ sticks with the Phillies. That's a +480 number on Max Kepler. I mentioned the Mets and the Dodgers. I do think it's a good Dodger spot. I don't mind this Dodger number, -140 to -145 right now in the market. It's not that Tyler McGill is bad. It's not that Clayton Kershaw is untouchable. It's the Dodgers not losing 3 consecutive games in their ballpark. Now, the spot, not of the year, but a great spot, I think, would be the Mets off of a loss here. We saw what Gonsolin was priced in the series against the Yankees. I think a Wednesday game against the Mets with Gonsolin on the mound, we would get no higher than -125 on the LA Dodgers, and that would be to avoid a 4-game losing streak all at home. They did have that 4 consecutive that they lost, the sweep against the Angels and then the opener against Arizona. I would be super in on the Dodgers if they lose tonight. I'm still on them tonight, but as a part of a little 2-legger where I added in the Atlanta Braves money line with Strider against Zach Gallen. That number's been on the climb. I can't get to where that number is tonight. Instead of betting them individually where a split is a non-profitable evening, I'll bring them together, risk a little bit less, and potentially get ourselves a decent little payout. That's +178 for a Braves-Dodgers 1-2 step if you are interested. And that's where I am going to be right now on the baseball board. A couple of other things that did jump off the page to me. Yanks total looked a little high with Rodon and Tanner Bybee, but it only takes one blow up when you're dealing with a 7.5, so buyer beware. Also coming up in just a minute, Sandy Alcantara. Can this guy do anything positive? He's been atrocious. That's not a one-start blip. He's allowed at least 4 earned runs in his last 6 starts for the Miami Marlins. People thought he would have already been traded by now because they would have capitalized on his immense value. Yeah, the reason now Sandy Alcantara's not been traded is the value has never been lower on this guy. Can he step up and actually shut down the Rockies? I think that'll be interesting to see. Great matchup with the Reds and the Brewers. Hunter Green against Freddie Peralta as Hunter Green tries to get the Reds in the win column and stop a Brewers team that I believe is now winners of 8 consecutive. So keep your eyes on that matchup as well. It's a really, really nice baseball slate that you've got here on a Tuesday. George Kirby, 2 starts, really rough. What does that look like against Baltimore? And then, look, I tried last night to see if, we could fade the Sacramento weather. Not doing it again. Certainly not doing it again. That game was over the number early on. It was 6-0 at the end of the second inning. Coors Jr. is almost a slight to what that ballpark is. Let's talk some basketball. Thibodeau and the WNBA next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
This Tuesday brings us a great baseball slate, a nice little WNBA slate, but some big news, of course, in the NBA with the announcement that the New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. Here is what Jalen Brunson said after the Knicks were eliminated when asked about how he felt and how much he trusted Tom Thibodeau following their loss to the Indiana Pacers.
Jalen, when you talk about the confidence, obviously, I feel like nobody takes more criticism than Tom, and this team obviously has turned around during his tenure. Do you kind of feel that going forward he's the same guy to lift you guys the rest of the way, that next level?
Is that a real question right now? You just asked me if I believe that if he's the right guy. Yes.
The thing with Brunson in that moment, I don't think he was like dodging the question at all. I think Brunson found it silly, truly, to be asked about Tom Thibodeau. Even if he probably understands why that's coming, this is how much Brunson believes in Tom Thibodeau. I don't know, though, how much belief there was in Thibodeau beyond Jalen Brunson. I'm not sure he and Towns ever hit it off. Don't forget, Towns and Thibodeau spent some time together in Minnesota. I don't know if Mikal Bridges and Tibbs hit it off, despite the fact that you would think somebody who plays as often as Mikal Bridges and Tom Thibodeau would be a perfect marriage. I'm not sure it necessarily was. We saw that at moments Mikal Bridges was kind of blown away at the workload that he was given by Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs basically saying, suck it up. This, though, as far as the Brunson relationship, that wasn't going to be the saving grace for Tom Thibodeau. You would have thought the saving grace would have been the incredibly tight relationship between Tibbs and Leon Rose, who makes the decisions for the New York Knicks. Unless James Dolan's voice makes an entrance into that room. And today there's probably a lot of blame that's going to land for James Dolan. My pushback on that is James Dolan wrong? I understand there's a lot of people that really like Tom Thibodeau and appreciate what he did for the New York Knicks. Did you really leave that series with against the Indiana Pacers feeling like Tibbs was great? Have you left these postseasons feeling like Tibbs was great? I think Leon probably said, I'd like to keep him, but if you're going to do this, do it now. Because I got a couple of names that I'm ready to make a phone call on, and I want to be first, not last, when it comes to figuring out who our head coach is going to be. Phoenix still hasn't hired anybody, and they fired Budenholzer. I think Game 82 was in the middle of the game. So I think that's how this all gets sped up a little bit, and the Knicks made the decision to move on from Tom Thibodeau. Let's hear from Coach James Young, though. JY joins us now on the show. Coach, let's start with this. Agree or disagree with the move by the Knicks to fire Tom Thibodeau following their loss in the conference finals?
First things first, I'm withdrawing my name for consideration for the New York Knicks job. I want to make sure I get that out in the open right now.
Smart move.
When you think about it, Kevin, I was thinking about, honestly, like, you know what Tibbs reminds me of? Buck Showalter. When a team is like, you want to bring a team back, build culture, but can't get over the hump. Kind of like when the Yankees let him go after 95, go get Joe Torre, and then off they went. Same thing happened. The people don't know I know baseball. Arizona Diamondbacks, get rid of Showalter. Here comes Bob Brenly, championship. He's a good guy to get you back going in the right direction. He isn't, I don't think, the right guy to finish the job. The lack of adjustments, the way too much use of the starters, which, paid off, sometimes it didn't. But when he had to go to his bench, they didn't know their roles, which is something I was talking about. Deuce McBride made a pretty interesting point, Kevin. I don't know if you heard it, after they lost. He kind of brought up that there were some things going on behind the scenes that maybe people didn't know. This team wasn't connected. You remember, Kev? Mikal Bridges complained about playing time in the middle of the season. We forgot about that one when he complained. So, listen, Tibbs did a great job. He brought New York back, right, to the point where they were. I would be careful that they don't pull a Donnie Nelson when the Knicks lost Riley. They went and got the experienced, great Don Nelson, and all of a sudden he was gone after 40 games because he didn't get along with Patrick Ewing. I know Brunson, what he said. But at the end of the day, Worldwide Wes, Leon Rose, Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson, they're all from the Philadelphia, Camden area. There's no way, and you know what, that they did not go through Brunson first to make sure he was okay with this.
So, Coach, the question then becomes, who steps up for Tom Thibodeau? The reality is, moving off of Tibbs, the how good of a move it is will depend on who they hire and the success that new coach has. Who are the names that comes to mind for you with this job now open?
Well, the first one immediately is going to be Johnny Bryan, who was brought in by Leon Rose and Will Arrest to be an assistant to Tibbs, left this past year to go to Cleveland with Kenny Atkinson because of his relationship with Donovan Mitchell. But he's also very, very close to Jalen Brunson. You're going to hear about Michael Malone, New York City native. He's got a championship ring, big-time coach, could ease the fan base right away. I would thought even a Taylor Jenkins, someone that maybe shouldn't have gotten let go by Memphis. There's more. Listen, I reached out to people out there. They're saying no. You're going to hear Jay Wright. Because Jay Wright's name's always been brought for coaching job in Philadelphia. He tried to get him for a number of times. He did not go. Will he go now? Because he's very close with Josh and Jalen and Mikal. They're going to say, their old Knicks fans will say Mark Jackson because he's never gotten a shot. But there's one guy you got to think about, and that's Hurley. Big reason. I talked to someone connected to the family. It's a job he would be interested in. Here's why. One of the reasons why he didn't go to L.A., it was L.A. His wife didn't want to go. They're from Jersey. This will be home. Don't sleep on Dan Hurley if they were to offer him the job.
Look, JY's connected, and I appreciate the breakdown. My quick comments on the two college coaches. Jay Wright, never going to happen. Dan Hurley, don't call him. He's not serious about leaving UConn. Don't help him get a new contract, Knicks. Save yourself the time and the waste. We'll be right back with Coach talking WNBA.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last two NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Talk some WNBA. We're live to right here on SportsGrid. I went with a little less. Actually, it's just a 3-leg parlay, 1 leg through these 3 games. I'm on Kelsey Mitchell to get to 15, and then the over/under straight for Nafisha Collier and Dejanay Carrington. It's a shame we are not getting Carrington's PRA, the assist number, in the absence of Paige Beckers. The first time she had 6 assists, a little more on-ball opportunities for Carrington. I think she gets over the 12.5. I think Fee has a big game against Phoenix tonight. And then Kelsey Mitchell, If she finally delivers on the efficiency, she could score 25-30, legit. She is getting so much volume. 15's a really nice safe floor. With a boost, you're better than 4-1. JY, let's start, though, with the Fever and the Mystics. I don't know if we can go must win in Game 7 of the Fever season.
It is.
But it feels close.
It is. Oh, it is. And that's why the line's been moving up. And Kevin, I like the Fever minus 5.5, partially because of what you said. It was an 83-77 loss. Kelsey Mitchell shot 4 of 16 from the floor. She's got to get the shot attempts. She's just got to deliver. I'm going to take the Indiana Fever minus the points. Next, Mercury Lynx. This has been climbing. I think it's up to like 158. Kevin, I'm going the opposite way. I'm taking the under in the matchup. I look at this as a Phoenix Mercury, number 2 team in defensive efficiency so far for the season. Lynx are 4th. We know they're probably the best defensive team, right? Slowest team in the WNBA. And the Phoenix Mercury are 9th in offensive efficiency and should not have, obviously, Alyssa Thomas tonight. I'm going to go under. I think it's up to like 158.5. Third play, I'm going to lay the points for the Seattle Storm. 3 straight losses. Las Vegas, really good, right? Minnesota, undefeated. Atlanta, pretty good. Kevin was big on them to start the year. I'm going to lay the 10.5 because of no Page. 2 player props, really quick. He went with Big Fish. I'm going Big Fish. Over 23.5 points. Over 4 over 6 games to start the season. 1 game she missed by the hook. And then my sneaky bet, Gabby Williams at 13.5, getting 14 points a game. Kevin, 2 of the last 3 games, over 20 points. I know they have a glut. Megaburst is the one that's losing the minutes and the points. Gabby Williams is not. Gabby Williams over 13.5 tonight for Seattle Storm.
Quick note on the Minnesota Lynx. It is rare to see. They are 7-0. They covered the opening 2 games of their season. 5 straight games they have not covered. Despite being 7-0 this season, they are just 2-5 against the number. And you look at the number tonight. Now, mind you, with Phoenix, that 5-2 looks nice, but Coach mentions the Alyssa Thomas injury. Kalia Copper, we still haven't seen yet for this team. So they're missing 2 of their big 3. But I'm watching the Lynx play these games closer than they should be. They're not playing as well as the 7-0 suggests. I think that's fair to say, Coach. 12.5. I understand injuries. That's a lot of points for the Lynx to be laying.
Yeah, that's why I went with the under, because of the fact of their defense has not been up to par, Kevin. Let's be honest. They're only 4th. But their pace of play, Alyssa Thomas not being there, no Kalia Copper, I just don't see how this game gets over gets to 160. I don't even know if this game gets to 150. I think they put this in the meat grinder. That's why I like the under in the matchup tonight.
Yeah, I think that is a totally fair look. It's interesting to hear you mention just kind of the necessity that is this victory for the Fever tonight. I don't mind their team total, by the way, 82.5, 83.5. So a lot of this would happen, I feel like, all the time during the college hoop season with JY and I. He'd be on a side, I'd be on a team total, or I'd be on the same, but we're on the same wavelength, right? Or he'd be on the team total, I'd be on the side. This is a good Fever spot. You're laying 4.5 now. This number looks to be dropping in some spots, Coach. When they just played the Mystics and laid 3.5 in that game, I think the Fever should step up and get the job done here tonight. JY, look, man, we appreciate it. And listen, I know you withdrew, but probably should keep the phone open just in case the Knicks want to still bring you in for an interview.
I mean, listen, if they bring me in for an interview, I mean, that'd be the smartest thing that James Dolan has ever done. I would give my number on social right now on air, but I would get too many prank calls, so I'm going to keep that to myself.
I'm so proud of you for not giving out your phone number on air. Nicely done there from Coach. And again, the parlay for me is 15 for Mitchell, and then the overs for Collier and Carrington a little bit later on tonight. Should be a great W slate. Great stuff as always from Coach James Young. We certainly will revisit a little bit later on everything around the New York Knicks. We're live with you a Tuesday night on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions.
no one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalpost got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Live with you right here on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions, and I really appreciate Coach stopping by, talking a little about the New York Knicks, and we will get to the Knicks certainly again in our show, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the finals here on this Tuesday with everybody in Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers, which will begin on Thursday. Game number 1, it's a 9.5-point spread in favor of OKC. Total checking in at 231. Everybody knows the number on the Thunder, minus 750 to win the series. You're getting plus 530 on the Indiana Pacers to get the job done and pull off what would be a historic upset. And the thing is, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. When is the last time we've seen an upset like this? You go back to the Lakers and the Pistons, and I believe the Lakers at the time were going for a 4-peat. Right at the end of their rope. And the Thunder are supposed to be at the beginning of their journey. And I think that's one of the tricky things in this series. If you are somebody who respects the path for the Pacers and the challenge that they have been to the teams that they've played, how do you bet a series like this? Because, again, it's not round up. I've mentioned this a few times, man. Round up all the predictions from all of us who do this and tell me how many Pacers you find. And then I'd love to hear those breakdowns. As somebody who picked the Knicks to beat the Celtics, right? I am incredibly, the Knicks were bigger dogs to Boston than the Pacers are to the Thunder. But I think people would accept that round 2 upsets are far more common than an upset of this size in the finals. But also, again, let's just hear what that breakdown sounds like. I'm not saying that there isn't a case to be made, right? But what is that Indiana Pacers case, right? It probably would be an experience edge. And I think it's almost an exercise for anybody who's looking to get involved with this series and, break this thing down in its entirety. The pathway for the Pacers, the main thing that they have going for them is something that would be unanimously, I think, agreed upon entering the series. they have a coaching advantage. I'm not sure Mark Daigneault hasn't hurt his standing within the league throughout this postseason. The Game 1 blunder against Denver is still something that I don't think should be forgotten. And by the way, it nearly costs them the series. They trailed in that series, not just 1-0, but 2-1. And the Game 3 coaching stuff, basically their 1-0 coaching, it felt like, was probably worse than the foul up 3 nonsense. On the other end of it, Rick Carlisle has, I think, positioned himself now as, and I know the list doesn't run incredibly deep, but considering Doc Rivers was viewed as one of the 10 best coaches in league history, right now, Rick Carlisle, Doc Rivers put up the poll. Carlisle wins it in a landslide. Carlisle's put himself in a conversation now, guys who have been coaching as long as Carlisle, right? You have Pop, you have Spo, you have Steve Kerr, and you're going Rick Carlisle there. And this run with the Indiana Pacers, the championship that he won with the Dallas Mavericks, the fact that they made this run last year, right, in terms of the Indiana Pacers making a conference finals. And coaching does matter. And, where do you want to have the advantage? You want to have the better team. 100%. You want to have the best player in a series. But Rick Carlisle, I think, in round number 1, he entered that series with a really big gap in terms of who was the best player. Because Giannis is that good, right? Some would still tell you Giannis is better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't agree with that. I think that's too dismissive of what SGA has done this year. But, and really the last few seasons, but he's been in that scenario before. Have we seen the Pacers win where, okay, maybe the best player in the series is up for a debate if Halliburton's got it really going, but do they have the better team? Right? Cavs, I feel like, had a better team. Again, the Knicks, at least starter for starter, it's the better group. OKC has the better team. I think the tricky bit of it all for Rick Carlisle is one of the things that he typically can go to that really few others are even willing to is just supreme depth. Like, I'm willing to go to guy 9 and 10 on my bench. OKC is not just willing to go to guys 9 and 10. They want to get to the 9th and 10th man because of how good they are. And I was doing a little bit of an exercise. If you, not position by position, but status by status, if you line up Halliburton, SGA, Pascal and J-Dub, Miles Turner, Chet, Aaron Nesmith, Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort, Andrew Nembhard. Is that 5-0 Thunder? Probably. Alex Caruso, Benedict Mathurin, Kassan Wallace, Obi Toppin. I mean, that's probably, it's winning every single slot down the way. And it is going to be an incredibly difficult task that Carlisle enters with. But he is decidedly the better coach. And that advantage, I don't think, can be dismissed when you are now on this stage. And you're on this stage in terms of the Pacers, house money, let's be honest, winning a game is good enough. Winning 2 will blow up a lot of bets, and winning 3 will pretty much wipe out the board. Forget winning 4. If the Thunder lose the opening game, which, by the way, the Pacers have won the opening game every series so far. So is OKC. Outside of the Denver series where they choked it away because Mark Daigneault was totally shot. So you remember something like that happened. You remember that OKC right now, this postseason, has this improbable loss under their belt. And you think, well, who are they playing? Oh, the evident kings of the improbable victory. And you start to go, okay, maybe. And as I was working through this series, I thought a little bit back to last year. Boston beating Dallas, I was incredibly confident in, despite picking the Mavericks to win the West. People couldn't seemingly get off of that bandwagon and figure out Boston was the much better basketball team. And all the confidence I had in Boston, I went, I think we could go 6 or 7. No way Boston loses it. I think we can go 6 or 7. I find myself, I think right now, in a carbon copy situation. The Pacers aren't winning the series. Despite the fact that I did win a bet on the Pacers to win the East. I can jump off of that ship. I think they could force it 6 or 7, which is more than a lot of people tend to expect from this group. We'll be right back here on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, with you right here on this Tuesday night, and we are following the live baseball board, which is getting some runs early out of that Philadelphia Phillies lineup, attacking Bowden Francis. You get Trey Turner to go deep, and then you get Bryce Harper to tack one on. They go back-to-back. The Turner home run was a 2-run shot after Bryson Stott walked in the leadoff spot. We've got a runs apiece now in Washington, Chicago. Dansby Swanson delivered a sac fly. That was following a yes-run first inning cash thanks to a Louis Garcia RBI single, scoring C.J. Abrams. Milwaukee already puts one up on Hunter Green with Christian Yelich. Having not the best season when you think about the batting average, but the power has been there for Yelich early doors. And, if you're Milwaukee 500 now, thanks to this big win streak, you're pretty pleased with how things are going. Just got underway in the Bronx. It's Nerfies so far in both Miami and Colorado. So, for Sandy Alcantara, best start in a little while there. And then Pirates Astros, which again, you guys know I am focusing on the McCullers Skeens combination, 13+ Ks. It's right now each guy through 2 innings, more for McCullers than Skeens. 2 Ks for McCullers, just 1 for Paul Skeen. So going to need him to pick it up in that capacity. The pitch count is very low, though. I know they offer some live markets on some of these pitchers. Let me just see what would they possibly be offering live on Paul Skeens. He's at 5.5 Ks. Like, I would be 20.5 outs recorded. That's him to go 7. It's -148. Again, the pitch count's very, very low. You're getting a plus price on him to record the win. That, I think, in part coming with the fact that the Astros are threatening to score. When you talk about just kind of in-game opportunities, Skeens is pitching well. He's not pitching perfectly. And that's just where things are at the moment. I don't think any other scoring updates just yet. We are also underway in the W game between the Fever and the Mystics, and a nice start there from Kelsey Mitchell, who's already hit a 3 and leads all scorers with 5 points in that one. And for the WNBA, the state right now of the Fever is one where you are seeing the value of Caitlin Clark, but more than I think they wanted to. Because we know Caitlin Clark is incredibly valuable. The losses to Washington and Connecticut, I do think help the case, but to me, that's if you're making the case within the next month. This season runs all the way until September. Are we going to look back on this Fever season and say, remember when they lost to Washington and Connecticut early doors? End of May? They couldn't get those victories without her? I don't know if that's going to be the prevailing thought. So if you are someone who's holding that Caitlin Clark ticket, you need her back sooner than later. And you need this team to win a little bit more, I think. Record is not everything, but the current favorite for the award is on the Minnesota Lynx, who are 7-0. The historic nature that Aja Wilson consistently flirts with is going to keep her in the race. They are 4-2. And I know the numbers are way back there for Breanna Stewart, but the Liberty at 7-0 have looked unbelievable up until this point. Let me pull this up quickly here. Their net rating right now is +25. The Lynx at second are 10.3. That is a gap of 15. That is the gap between the 7-0 Lynx and the 1-6 Dallas Wings. That's the gap. The 7-0 Liberty and the 7-0 Lynx, the gap between them is the gap between the 7-0 Lynx and the 1-6 Wings in net rating. That's how dominant New York has been. Now, some of that is scheduled. 2 games against Golden State. Washington, 50 ball in Connecticut. They only beat the Fever by 2. It was in comeback fashion, but they did smash Vegas in the opening game. The thing for the Liberty, next game's Washington, huge favorite. Then you're against Chicago, huge favorite. Is Clark back in time when you play Indiana again? If not, huge favorite. The Dream and the Mercury at home. 7, 8 plus, if not double digits. Then you get a little bit of a road trip, 4 consecutive outside of New York. I mean, there's going to be losses. Don't get me wrong. But if the Liberty, off of winning a championship, flirt with a historic season, not flirt, have a historic season, best net rating in the history of the WNBA in a single season, if that's what you see from this group, then I think that is going to open that conversation a little bit. It's not a 100%, going to sway everything, but it's going to open that door a little bit. Vegas a couple of years ago had a plus 15 net rating. Now it was over 40 games. This number will drop undoubtedly for the Liberty. But right now, over under season long net rating, it might be 15.5 for this group who look locked in off of that championship. 17-10 now is that Fever lead as they're off to a nice start against the Mystics. Philly really pouring it on. And some trouble needs to be worked out of for Paul Skeens. We'll take a quick break and come back with you here live on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Right here on Game Time Decisions, and the big decision today made by the New York Knicks was to fire their head coach Tom Thibodeau, and that decision is not one that is being met right now with unanimous thumbs up. I think there are a lot of Knicks fans who have defended Tom Thibodeau, his style for years, and to move off of Tom Thibodeau, it kind of then would suggest that someone in the front office does not agree with that style, that approach, and who Tom Thibodeau is as a head coach. I mean, it's got to be pretty drastic to fire Tibbs after beating Boston, which is something not many believed the Knicks were capable of. I'm sure there is worry on, well, what if the replacement isn't better? Fair, but the Cavs fire J.B. Bickerstaff. They bring in Kenny Atkinson. They win 64 games. He wins Coach of the Year. I understand that they didn't make it out of round number 2, but they clearly took a step forward. The easier or the more gaudy, dream is Steve Kerr. A lot of people still look back that Mark Jackson shouldn't have been fired. The Warriors were trending up. Well, they brought in Steve Kerr and just kept making the finals every year. It was a long time before Steve Kerr lost a series in the West. So I think if you are the Knicks, if you are a Knicks fan, if you're somebody who's wondering about the Eastern Conference odds next year, which I know I am fascinated in how they're going to approach the conference as a whole. It's worth taking that swing because you have to imagine the Knicks' floor is going to be incredibly high in that conference. So you bring in Michael Malone championship pedigree or Johnny Bryant, who has a lot of good relationships inside that Knicks organization and is clearly sought after for more than just the relationships, as he's one of the final 2 finalists for the Phoenix job. And that's where I think the Knicks should feel a little bit more comfortable about this decision. When they do announce a new head coach, you're not going to get a who? What? That's who we fired Tom Thibodeau for? I think by the time you are previewing the league in October, the narrative will more so around the Knicks. I think the coaching position will be a positive one of saying maybe the ceiling's higher now that Tom Thibodeau is gone. But Thibodeau being fired to me is not then a signal that the Knicks found the main blame in the room and nothing else will change. I think the decision to move off Tom Thibodeau shows that the New York Knicks believe we are not happy with a deep run. We see what is out there right now in this conference, and we want it all. Because this group, this year, making the conference finals preseason, that was about the expectation. Heading into the playoffs, it was certainly an achievement, and they achieved it. But you look towards next season, and for the Knicks, the expectation will be to win the East. And that is important because there are going to be some deals out there where maybe you are sacrificing the 2029-2030 season, but for 2026 playoff basketball, you feel better. And that's why I think the Tom Thibodeau firing opens the door a little bit wider for a Karl Anthony Towns exit. If the Giannis deal can be done, it will be done. The Knicks probably need Giannis, though, to attempt to strong-arm Milwaukee into sending him to the Knicks. The other deal, and the deal that, again, more likely will be we're worried about next year, and that's it, is the Kevin Durant trade. The once foregone conclusion that Durant would play for the Knicks comes true about 5 to 6 years later than it was supposed to. We'll see. We'll be right back.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, updating your baseball board. Nerfy comes in, Yanks Guardians, as that is scoreless at the end of the first. Tanner Bybee actually struck out the side. And did Rodon also strike out the side? Or did he struck out through the first. A lot of strikeouts to start that baseball game in the Bronx. Miami is up now on Colorado 2-0. Said Alcantara trying to piece together what could maybe be the best start of his season. Books were expecting it, by the way. You were not getting discounts on Alcantara. Minus price to go 6 innings. Earned runs was just 2.5. Strikeout number was expensive. They were not going to let you get in for cheap going up against the Colorado Rockies coming off of a victory. Obviously, not a common occurrence for that group. Washington takes a 3-1 lead on the Cubbies now. James Wood gets involved with a sac fly, having himself certainly an all-star caliber season for the Nats. It's 6-0 Philly. We are scoreless in Boston, L.A., so that's a nerfy. And it is also a yerfy in Arizona, Atlanta. Ketel Marte started that party with a solo shot in the first, and they're tacking on a little bit more now here in the top of the second, going up against the Braves. That's kind of the updates that you need right now on that Major League Baseball board. It was 19-8 Fever at the end of that opening quarter against the Mystics. They are now trailing by 3, but it is still early on in that basketball game. Again, the Mystics have been a much tougher out than people were anticipating entering the season. Currently at 3-4, they've been competitive in a lot of their spots, so we'll see how that game goes. And if you did want some W action a little bit later tonight, because I played a little parlay, but it did involve 2 straight props. Nafisha Collier over the 22.5. It does look like a good spot at home. Commissioner's Cup action. Only 24 in the last one against the Valkyries. But that's good enough, right? It's under the average. That's over the number. She's actually only missed the 22.5 marker once this season. It was against Seattle. That's a much tougher defense than what she'll see tonight in Phoenix. So, especially with Alyssa Thomas absent and all of that nature there. And then Mondijane Carrington over the 12.5. We do not get a PRA number on her tonight, as the books are uncertain what to do with the assist category. Paige Beckers missed last game. She'll miss tonight, as I believe she's in concussion protocol. But Dejanay Carrington had 6 assists. 6 assists, despite a loss to the Chicago Sky in the first game that this team played in the absence of Paige Beckers. 16, 3, and 6 was that stat line. On 5 of 15 shooting, Carrington could actually really break out tonight, specifically in the scoring column, if the efficiency upticks, because the last 3 games she scored 15 plus, but she's been sub 50% from the floor in the last 2, 11 of 28 from the field. So there's some room for improvement early on as Carrington maybe adjusts to a little bit more of a workload in the absence of Paige Becker. So that's where you are with the WNBA. That's where things are in Major League Baseball. You know, the one thing I've not talked about here tonight is starting tomorrow, that Stanley Cup final. And we get the rematch between Edmonton and Florida. And we enter this series, Oilers, home ice, favored. If there was going to be public money influencing it, it would likely influence it Edmonton's direction. All of the questions are around, can Connor McDavid get it done? That is the big question that surrounds that series. The reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner, can he actually go out there and win it again, but in a victory? Time will certainly tell. Let's take our time, though, now to bring in John Jastrzemski. If you've ever listened to New York radio, you're very familiar. Host New York over at The Ringer. So, JJ, despite this being my first time meeting you, forgive me for saying JJ, but that's just how I grew up, and that's how I know it. And I want to start with the Tom Thibodeau firing. I saw you were not too pleased with that move by the New York Knicks. Tell us why.
Kev, thanks for the kind words. Number 1, it's a pleasure to be on. Number 2, sorry I'm running a little late because when a New York Knicks coach gets fired, we have been scrambling for the last 3 hours, so I've just completely lost track of time. You throw in a 3-week-old, it adds to the equation. But all of that being said, yeah, I'm really ticked off about this move because the New York Knicks have been a joke for 20 years. They had a winning percentage of .300 over a 7 or 8 year period before Thibodeau comes into town. He builds an infrastructure. He builds a culture. They go to the conference finals for the first time in 25 years. Just think about where you were 25 years ago. And the New York Knicks have a coach who got you to the conference finals. You lost in 6 games. You lost to a better team. It's not Thibodeau's fault that Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson couldn't guard me or you. And yet the Knicks are making a coaching change. They think they're going to do better. Good luck.
I think it's interesting, though, because this feels like a situation where the Knicks, they see that open East. They see that they could have got there this year. They lose to the Pacers again. And I wonder if it's a situation where anybody's on that chopping block, and we might see Towns potentially out the door at some point as well. If that ends up the situation, and let's say it's this Kevin Durant deal that we are seeing kicked around, is that something that encourages you on this team's chance to win a title next year, or would that be another step in the wrong direction?
I'm not in love with it. Kevin Durant was in his late 30s, and I get all of the questions and critiques and whether or not the Brunson-Towns dynamic can work long-term. Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm not necessarily jumping for joy thinking about the Knicks matching up with Oklahoma City, let's say, and making the argument that, hey, swapping Karl Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant is going to get you exactly where you need to be. So, look, you're right. The Knicks are in a very good position in the Eastern Conference. And here's the way I'm looking at this. They need this to be, from a coaching change standpoint, Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr. It can't be Tom Thibodeau to Fred Hoiberg. Remember, the Bulls fired Tom Thibodeau. They did nothing but win 50-win years in the playoffs every year. They've been an absolute joke as a franchise ever since. And they've brought in some brand-name head coaches.
What about Mike Malone?
Iowa State. Here's my thing with Mike Malone. Kevin, I like him. He's an NBA champion head coach. He has a lot of similarities to Tom Thibodeau, right? Number 2, did Tom Thibodeau ever coach a player as talented as Jokic?
Definitely not.
No way. So why am I supposed to believe that? And I like Mike Malone. Listen, he's a good head coach. I'm not going to sit there and tell you he's not. Why is that the move that all of a sudden now changes the entire feel and look and vibe of the Knicks? Tell you the other thing I don't like, and I'm a Malone guy, Kev. Nuggets played really well without him. I mean, let's be honest. They beat the Clippers in 7, and they played the best team in the league, Oklahoma City, who's going to win an NBA championship. Took them to a 7th game with Adelman as the head coach. So that kind of makes me wonder, hey, what was going on in Denver? And for the Knicks fans that are thrilled that Tibbs is gone, he doesn't play his bench. He doesn't develop a bench. See what has transpired in Denver over the last few years? Not exactly a robust Carlisle-like rotation.
Well, the issue is, I think, a lot for Malone, seemingly a lot of tension with that front office. So if Mike Malone doesn't deliver the goods, it won't be a long tenure with the New York Knicks. I think you're spot on about that. I think what we're seeing right now in the Eastern Conference is really a situation where Boston feels off the board and everybody thinks next year's the year. And everybody, if Thibodeau has a ceiling, and because going to the conference finals won't feel good enough next year, JJ, is that fair to say?
I'll take it a step further. They better be in the NBA Finals. You make a move like this, better be in the NBA Finals. And that's really unreasonable and really unfair for whoever the next head coach is going to be. But that's what happens when you make a move like this.
And that also, and I think you're right, I think that's why, if they can, I think they may like if they can make that personnel change on the floor and they go, this is the group we're promising, we're embracing those expectations. JJ, if I could ask you to stick around for just a couple of more minutes, I want to get your thoughts a little bit on New York baseball, because Yanks-Dodgers this weekend I thought was a treat, and it rolls right into Mets-Dodgers, and I think it's been pretty interesting to watch the New York teams match up with baseball's best. That's next right here on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here. It is Game Time Decisions. We're live with you on a Tuesday night. We're joined by John Jastrzemski. Again, catch all his work over at The Ringer. Doing great stuff, keeping his fingers on the pulse of New York. It obviously turned into a busy day. And it'll probably be at least a relevant night with the Mets playing the Dodgers as the second act of that New York step up there. I thought this weekend, though, for a regular season series, I thought there were plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where L.A. sent a message on Saturday, And the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did. They ran Yamamoto out of the game without it being all about Judge. He was the only Yankee starter that didn't get a hit. The Dodgers leave it feeling better, but I thought the Yanks salvaged ultimately the trip to Dodger Stadium. What did you take away from it?
Kev, I have the exact same sentiment because, look, Friday night, I'm going to give Max Fried a mulligan. It's like he's playing golf with me on the first tee at Silver Lake. The guy's been so good all year. I'm not going to roast him for yucking up the 5-2 lead and having his worst start of the year. That happens. Saturday's a throwaway. They got the rear ends kicked. But you're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday night, Monday. If, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers. They're not in the same league as the Dodgers. Yamamoto's been lights out, to your point, and they made him work. He was out of that game before the fourth inning. The pitch count was insanely high. And here's what you love so much about the Yankees 2+ months into this year. Their offense appears to be so much more diverse and so much more well-balanced than what it was a year ago. Severino said it going into one of those Subway Series games. Dude, he was 100% right. It was the Soto-Judge show last year, and it cast of thousands. This year, you look at those OPSs up and down the lineup. Yeah, Judge is a man possessed, but you're seeing a lot of 750s. You're seeing 800s. Grisham, Rice, Goldschmidt, Bellinger. It's a balanced Yankee offensive attack. And look, does it mean anything for October? Of course not. But I think from a psyche standpoint, it made a difference. Making sure you beat one of the best pitchers in the NL, who, by the way, shut you down in both games you saw him last year, at the stadium and in Game 2 of the World Series. That was a really nice win for the Yankees.
I thought it would have mattered if they were swept, as a team who hasn't been swept all season. So that was big. For the Mets now who show up, the thing with, and I don't know where you land on the Mets as a whole. I don't hate them, despite the fact that many people tell me I'm supposed to. I appreciate Soto's season with the Yankees, and I think the fact that this team is 38-22 and he hasn't come anywhere near his expected level, I think Mets fans should feel incredible about their baseball team right now.
Right there with you. And the main reason why they're in the position that they're in, the pitching lab built by Jeremy Hefner and David Stearns, and I know people, when I discuss it all the time, they'll roll their eyes. They're like, really? Do we got to hear about this pitching lab again? On and on we go. But, I mean, look at what they're getting out of these starting pitchers from the likes of Clay Holmes and Griffin Canning. And look at how Peterson has been turned around. And offensively speaking, look, Alonso's had a really good start. Lindor's had a really good start. The rest of that lineup really hasn't done a whole lot. So how are they winning games? They're winning games because they've pitched extremely, extremely well. Diaz, I know he blew the save last night. It was his first blown save of the year. He's been tremendous. This Reed Garrett, I know last year he fell off a cliff, but the first 2 months, I mean, he's pitching like an all-star reliever. Pitching, Kev. And look, they'll add to the team. Cohen is going to be super aggressive. And Soto is not going to have, statistically speaking, as good a year as he had with the Yankees. He's just not. He doesn't have Judge hitting behind him. He's not playing 81 games at Yankee Stadium, but he's Juan Soto. He's going to hit at some point in time, and the Mets are going to win a lot of games. There are like 3 or 4 teams in the NL that can win the World Series. The Mets are on that list.
Yeah, listen, if you're also the Mets and you had to pick he bats 300 before the All-Star break or after, you take after, and just the law of averages say at some point he'll figure this thing out. John, really appreciate it. A lot of fun talking some New York sports. Again, make sure everybody check out Host of New York on the Ringer. And if you don't already, catch him over on Twitter, John_Jastrzemski. John, really appreciate it, man.
Kev, anytime, man. Now, Yankees, Mets, television, late night, pod after the Thibodeau firing. It doesn't end, my man. Doesn't end. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, make sure you do listen to the Thibodeau stuff there. I do think it's very important that when New York news like this happens, you listen to someone from New York. It's my most being from New York take of it all. Sometimes I hear people talk about the city who are not from the city, and it does bother me. And anyone who spends enough time around me knows that. Like Dave Sharapan, who, is in the Hall of Fame of people who know how to rile up old K-Dub. So I don't think there's any reason for that, Dave, on a delightful Tuesday here, where I think Sometimes you come in, I go, what's the story behind the outfit? This one feels cut and dry. Jack Caglione Day, huh?
That's it, baby. Jack Caglione, big Italian kid, 6'5", monster. Looks great in uniform. Hits bombs. Royals, gotta be. Broke out to Bro Jackson today. Said, I'm wearing Royals stuff. I'm on the Royals. Let's go, Royals. It's all about him. It's all about, I mean, they've lost 13 of their last 20 games. They get an influx of, a guy that can hit bombs. They have 7 home runs as an outfield all season long, K-Dub. So this is good. This is exciting. And yes, all college baseball pictures. College baseball is rad. If you haven't heard that before, you need to hear that more often. Kevin, I mean, it's hard to follow JJ, but my goodness gracious, what the hell is going on in New York? I mean, you were one of the first people I thought of this afternoon out in Vegas when I said, oh, did they really fire this guy? They got to have a replacement in place already, right? Like there's offshore places that got odds up for, guys to come up. That guy Malone's even money. That's it, right? It's him. It's done. Jay
It's
Wright's not
Malone.
gonna come back. Coach,
It's Malone or Bryant. The Jay Wright stuff is, listen, I don't know if we could work it into the show. That's on me for not telling them. Everything you need to know about the Jay Wright situation, I put in a 21-second video on Twitter. You want me to reenact it? I'll reenact it. Here's the short version of the 21-second video. No way Jay Wright is the head coach of the Knicks next year. All right? That's simple. We'll talk with Dave right after this.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. All right, I'm going to take it. Consig, again, it's great to have you as always. Talk to me. What's on your mind? What are you thinking here on a delightful Tuesday?
I mean, obviously, we're talking baseball, MLB baseball. There's some good games. We talked about it yesterday. I had the Detroit stuff on. We talked about that run line. It wasn't enough. I mean, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 8.5 wasn't even enough for the White Sox yesterday. Tonight, You got the Mariners coming up here against the Orioles. The Orioles playing their best baseball of the season. Kirby hasn't been good lately. It's a short price. I like the Mariners there. Minnesota and over. Minnesota team total, probably the best play in that game against the A's. A complete train wreck. Sweating the Astros and the Buccos under. Tired of betting the Pirates when Skeens pitches because they've lost 7 of his 12 starts. It's just no good. It's just no good. So got under 7.5 there. That's good. And then we have college baseball. There's odds on that stuff. I don't really know. I'm going to rely on a couple of your guys. Casino Chris. Sam. The what do you call Sam? I don't even know what you call him. But look at these numbers. Yarnell, just Yarnell. Chanticleers? Can you say Chanticleers?
Sean sighting. Sean sighting. Good catch. Good catch. Good. Let me tell you this, Dave. Last night, because, Yarnell loves to just start texting people about college baseball when he shouldn't be doing that, right? Ice cream text, welcome, 100% of the time. College baseball, questionable. Now, this Arkansas Little Rock team starts beating up LSU. Tigers dropped to minus 125 on that money line. And all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, now this is noteworthy. Inning finishes, they're down 5-1. It's minus 180. So someone somewhere said, yeah, me too. And I went, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not paying attention. They won the game by 4 runs when it was all said and done. So that's where the college baseball situation is at. I will say, I got the alert. I kind of knew he wasn't playing tonight, but Louis Robert, White Sox great, he's getting sat down because he's struggling. He's not had a hit in a week. It is interesting that the guy that leads Major League Baseball in stolen bases is apparently not valuable enough to crack the starting lineup for an 18-win team. I don't know. Maybe we're overrating steals, or the White Sox are just hoping that they can give him a week off and he can salvage that trade value when the time comes. Speaking of salvaging trade value, I don't know if he only gave up 2 to the Rockies is good enough for Sandy Alcantara. This guy stinks. Calling it like I see it.
4th road win of the year last night for the Rockies. Live again today against Sandy. We'll see. It's 2-2 in the 5th. Me and Wetzel will have that along with all the other games. Stanley Cup preview. We'll talk about that a little bit tonight. He's got some crazy Stanley Cup props. Number of goals scored by each team in the series.
All right.
Different things on players, number of points, all this other stuff. So we've got a bunch of stuff on deck. That's it, K-Dub. Please keep me posted if the Knicks, make a move tonight or, tomorrow, because really out west, they're the second choice to win the NBA championship next year. The New York Knicks at a lot of books. The second choice, 2-1 on OKC, 8-1 on the New York Knicks, 10-1 on the Indiana Pacers. The top 3 selections. What in the world is going on? You tell me. I'll see you later.
The East is wide open and short. Again, always appreciate the appearance from Consig. And look, I think to just rehash it, and we'll talk about this on the Kevin Walsh show. Don't be scared to get in the mix now. Don't be scared to get on. Don't be scared to get on that mix. Episode 7 is right around the corner. The openness of the East is going to lead to some moves that are uber win now. And I think that might be what you are seeing from the New York Knicks with their eyes towards next season. As far as the best bets from our team, I believe everything is underway. And I believe 3 of the 4 Dinger Tuesdays. We mentioned it's Jack Caglione Day, but it's sneaky Ronnie Mauricio Day over at Dodger Stadium. Don't be scared to jump in. The water's just fine. In-game live is next.